everyone, this is your instructor, Stevie Daniels. This is week 4 and fantastic job you guys are all doing in the online class. Very proud of you hanging in there because an online class is a lot of work. Sometimes it could be more work than a face-to-face class because you are reading everything that you have to do, whereas in a face-to-face class you get to listen to a lot of things, and listening is not as much work as actually reading. So, good job. Where I'm at right now, everybody, is I'm at exercise 44, and I'm on page 51 in the Azar text. I wanted to go over this chapter 1 and 2 review since there's a chapter 2 test today. Not today, I'm sorry, this week. And it might help you out a little bit, okay? So let's go over this and see what you know, what you don't know. All right, let's take a look. Let me get out of here. All right. The first question here is, since I came to this country, I am learning a lot about the way of life here. Now, you know that when we use since, let's take a look at that. You know that when we use since, we're going to use the simple past. And that's correct. Since I came to this country, that's good. But after that, we want to have a perfect tense. And we have to figure out, do I use the past perfect? Do I use the present perfect? But it's saying, I'm still in this country since I came here. You've learned a lot. So the focus is on that you're still learning, okay? The writer wants you to know that he is still learning a lot, but he needs to put it in the right tense. So to make this good, we keep the first clause, since I came to this country, that's good. But then we need to make this into a perfect tense because we're using since. We would say, I have been learning, right? Because the learning is still going on. So we want to use the present progressive, which is have plus been plus the verb plus the present participle of the verb, which is ing, right? So I have been learning. We'll make that correct. Number 2, I arrived here only a short time ago. I am here since last Friday. Well, we need to fix this. This says I arrive. Well, that's present tense. And a short time ago, this ago tells us that it's a past action. That's a key or clue word that we use to show it's a past action. So we need to put this in the tense. So where's our verb? Our verb is arrive. So what do we have to put on it? We have to put a D on it, right? We have to say I arrived. So we'll just make that for number 2, I arrived, right? And then, I am here since last Friday. Well, since we have the word since, that's going to put us into a perfect tense because it's going to give us a duration of time. So what we'll say is, I have been here since last Friday, right? I have been here since last Friday. And that will work perfectly for us, okay? Because it gives us a sense of the fact that I'm still here. It's only been a short time, but I'm still here. How do I know it? Because the person's using the present tense wants to let you know that it started Friday, but they're still here. Since that's the case, we need a perfect tense. I have been here since last Friday. Let's look at number 3. How long you are living here? I've been here for almost 2 years. Now that should sound strange to your ear. So let's fix the first clause first. How long you are living here? Well, since this person is asking in a progressive tense, that means, and they're using the verb are, that means the person asking knows that the other person is still here because they're choosing this present tense verb and they're using a progressive tense. So that person is still living here. But we have to use it in the right way. We have to ask the question in the right way. So how would we say how long you are living here? We've got to put that in a progressive tense. Okay. So I'll go 3. How long? Have you been living here? And I'm asking in progressive because I know, and the progressive perfect, because they have given me this clue here since last Friday. Since I have this duration of time, then I want to put that in the perfect tense. I could have said, how long are you living here? But because I know the answer since last Friday, then I'm going to put this in the perfect tense. How long have you been living here? And that person says, we could say, I have been here since last Friday. But because I was asked in the progressive tense, I'm going to answer in the progressive tense because this person asking me wants to know the process, the amount of time in progress. So the first is not wrong, but I do want to make it, I have been living here since last Friday. Either one's okay. I have been here since last Friday. I have been living here since last Friday. But I'm going to choose the present perfect progressive because the person wants to know the time, how much time, the progress, okay, the continuation. Let's look at question number 4. Why you have been in class for the last couple of days? Well, here's a clue for me. The last couple of days. I know that to be a clue right here, right? And it's the for the last couple of days. So since I know that this is a duration of time, then I want to put a perfect tense, but I need to put it in the right way. So it's a negative, so I have to be sure to know where to put my negative. So why have you not, put that capitalized, not been here, been, right, in class for the last couple of days, right? Why have you not been in class? So we usually put the not right before the be verb, and the be verb, which is the final verb of this question here. Why have you not been in class? So we have to put the negation in the right place, and we have to put it in the right type. So when we ask a question, we have to put not is our way to negate. Okay. Let's look at 5. I am coaching a soccer team for the last 2 months. Well, if you just stopped at I'm coaching a soccer team now, that would be okay. I coach a soccer team every Friday. That'd be okay. But now we've got 4 again. And now that we have a duration of time and the person's asking in a progressive tense, let's focus on the progression, okay, for the duration. So to do that, for number 5, wrong one here. To do that, for number 5, we can say, I have been coaching for the last 2 months. And why did I choose the present perfect progressive? Because the person asked me in the progressive, and we know it's present because we're saying we're doing it right now. Okay, well, the person didn't ask me. I'm just making a statement. But I have been coaching a soccer team for the last 2 months. I can say, I have coached a soccer team for the last 2 months. That's okay. But then I'm not really focusing on the progression, the continuous action. And so I generally answer in the tense that's asked of me. Okay, here's 6. When I was a child, I had lived with my aunt instead of my parents. My uncle has died before I am born, so I never knew him. My aunt raised me alone. Okay, so we're looking at some past actions here. Here's the when clause right here. So this is a time frame. So when I was a child, so that's going to be simple past because of our when. Now, do we want to say I had lived with my aunt instead of my parents? I don't know if one comes before the other, so I don't necessarily think that we need the perfect tense, the past perfect here, because they both happen at the same time, so we don't necessarily have to have the the past perfect to show one event came before the other one. They kind of are both at the same time. So I think we can just keep the simple past. When I was a child, I lived with my aunt instead of my parents. Both simple past. Now, here's a problem. My uncle has died. That means, is he still dying? I mean, that's a terrible thing to say, right? So this is something that you either do or don't, right? It's kind of a completed action. It's a final thing that we do. So I think we're going to get rid of has died. And then we're just going to say died, right? My uncle died. It's past. And then before I was born. Because we're talking about this person's already born, so that's in the past. So he can't say I am born. He has to say I was born. If not, then this is a child not born yet writing this sentence. And that doesn't make sense, right? My uncle died before I was born. So all past tense actions. So I never knew him. My aunt raised me alone. So all of that looks really good to me. Number 7. I am living in my cousin's apartment. So far, so good. Since I have arrived here. Okay, so because of the word since, it gives us a particular point of time that this action happened, which means we throw it into the perfect tense. So what are we going to say for this one? Number 7, I have been living, right? You're still living there because you arrived here and you're still there. So we're going to put it in the perfect tense. So for number 7, I can say, I have been living here, or in my cousin's apartment, right? Now what do we have to do? We have to get rid of something, right? We don't say I have arrived, because in the since clause, we want that in the simple past. So since I arrived here, because that's past. You got here, it's done, you're here. So we don't need the present perfect. We've already got the present perfect progressive in our first clause. So in our second clause that follows since, we are going to have the simple present. So since I arrived here. Okay, let's look at our final question. My grandfather had lived in a small village in Italy when he was a child. Now we're looking at these things happened at the same time. This didn't happen before that. His living in the small village did not happen before he was a child. They both happened at the same time. So since they're both currently in the same time frame, my grandfather lived in a small village in Italy when he was a child. Okay, all past. And now let's go here. At the age of 19, he had moved to Rome, where he had met and married my grandmother in 1957. Okay, that could be okay. He had moved to Rome, where he had met and married my grandmother, because he moved to Rome first, and then he met your grandmother. So you could say he had moved to Rome, where and we want to say met. And married, because this came second, right? First he moves to Rome, then he marries your grandmother in 1957. So the past perfect, everybody, is whatever event happened first, that's the past perfect. So we're going to say he had moved to Rome, and then he met and married the grandmother. That clause, met and married, has to be simple past because it follows the past perfect. It's the second event. The second event, simple past. First event, past perfect. Okay? You could also say he moved to Rome and met my grandmother. So you don't have to say he had moved. You could say he moved to Rome and then married my grandmother. the understanding is the move came first and then the marriage second. So you could do it either way. He had moved or he moved. Okay? My father had been born in Rome in 1960. Well, we don't need the past perfect because that's an event that happened. We already know that he was born after his grandfather, that his own father. That makes sense, right? We're not born before our own father. So we don't have to put that in the past perfect. Nor do we have to put it in the past perfect